Hey there, YouTubes. This is Grimweird coming back at you with more MC Eternal playthrough action for Minecraft 1.12.2. So I have finished the roof of my place, or pretty much finished it. So let's take a look at what I've done. Here's sort of what I'm doing in the distance. I'm still not 100% happy with how it looks from the outside. There's a whole lot of white there, so I might jazz that up a bit. I don't want to make it too busy, but I also don't want to make it too plain. So we'll think about something to add there. I do like the black corners. I think that sort of makes it pop a bit more. Let's go take a look. Can fly around a bit. You can see what it looks like from overhead. The white on this side is definitely a bit overwhelming. So I might put some black columns in there just for kicks and giggles. Alright, let's go take a look inside. I don't think anything has changed too much inside. Except for I have made myself an elevator pathway. Oh, my charcoal is probably done. Hey, it's dudes. Let's shoot those dudes. Oh, they disappeared. Too late. Let's take a look at... So I've got steam dynamos, a couple of them. I was running them on coal because I had quite a bit of coal, but I didn't want to use up all my coal. So now what I've done is... and I'm out. So other things I've done was I've been taking from my Pam's beehive honeycomb, waxcomb, and bee grubs. There's multiple uses for this stuff. It's not crucial, but it's something to do. So let's pull some of this stuff out. So I made a presser. This doesn't require any power, so you can do it really early in the game. I made it really early in Enigmatica 2 Expert because you needed this pressed wax to make waxed leather for the hang glider. Nowhere near as crucial here. But it doesn't take any power, so one thing that's nice about it is if you have time in a bottle, you can just turn this bad boy up to 11. Or 6, I guess I should say. Since that's as high as it goes. And then it'll just, spray through this stuff. And the reason I mention this is because there's not a lot of uses for the pressed wax in this mod pack. However, you can burn it as fuel. It's only half as good as coal, but hey, may as well burn it up. Not going to do anything else with it. And you can obviously process it really fast with that presser. And so let's throw that in there. And that in there. Oh, and see, I do have a bunch of it. I forgot I had a bunch in this chest. So yeah, that's going to last me a bit. However, I also wanted to make sure that I had a good supply of stuff. So Forestry is in this pack. And Forestry has a feature which I don't see a lot of people use in playthroughs, but can be very handy. It's called basically, what is it called? It's like a charcoal pit function. So if we take a look at... So I often see people take a log and put it in their furnace and burn it to make charcoal, and then the charcoal lasts longer than wood by itself. You use wood, you burn wood, you get charcoal, and it sort of magnifies things. But this forestry thing, you can make a wood pile, which is actually no better than just the 4 individual pieces of wood for burn time. But when you have these, you can then turn them into charcoal in a charcoal pit, and it multiplies things quite a bit. Let me put some stuff away and I will show you. And then we'll go tour the base. Let's see. More ender lilies. I need to move and expand my ender lily farm. Let's see. For now, we'll just throw this in here. All right, so what you do for a charcoal pit for forestry is you surround wood by something that doesn't burn, like dirt. I think it has to be like dirt or, you know, some type of thing. I always just use dirt, but I think you can use a few other things like stone and whatnot. So you make a layer of it. I think you can also make pyramids, but I also make a layer. I had this little pit here where my old tier 2 Astral Sorcery thing was done. And so I'll just go ahead. No, don't do that. Okay. Let's go ahead and dig some of this up. So basically what I've got under this dirt is the end product of a charcoal pit from Forestry. And what it is an ash block. You can see that's a forestry block. I'll go ahead and dig down here a little so you can see what I'm doing. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares, so 49 blocks. Now I'm going to break this and watch the fun ensue. That's all the charcoal I got and some ash I got from that. So basically 49 wood has given me, let's see, if I do this it'll count it, 768 charcoal. So 49, well actually it's 49 times 4. So 196 wood has given me 768 charcoal. So when you want to make yourself some charcoal, that is an awesome way to do it. Boom. And of course, if you need to store this somewhere, I think you can also, I assume that condensed charcoal is in here. Yeah, you can, charcoal block, you can make charcoal blocks. And you can also split that up into small charcoal if you want to. So this now has a burn time of 1600 as opposed to 800, so it's going to burn twice as long as my wax. That's the same as like coal. So it's just perfectly good stuff. But I went from 100, instead of 196, giving me 196, 196 has given me 768. So it's a great way to get yourself a lot of coal. And I'm going to go ahead and load this up one more time, I think. Just so you can see it in action. So we're going to need some 196 wood. Go ahead and get my building block out. We're going to turn that 196 wood into wood piles, which is a simple recipe here. Oops, then I only needed 49, so I got plenty here. So we'll throw the extras up here because I don't want to build a bigger pit. I'm just using the pit I had. Now I think you can make pyramids of this stuff, but other than that, you can just make any rectangle of any size. So I'm going to go ahead and open this back up a bit. So basically what we're doing here is we're just going to, oops, hey, I missed some. So not 768, but a bit more than 768. Like 780, 790. So it's almost something like 4 per, I think is what you're getting there. We're going to use our building thing here to finish this up. And I got one left over, so that goes there. Alright, and now what we're going to do is we're going to cover it back up with dirt. And again, this is 7 by 7, but I think you can do anything. I'm not sure if there's a minimum. It might be a 2 by 2 minimum or something like that. But if you're going to do it, you might as well, make a decent size of it. It doesn't have to be, dug into the ground. You can just, it just needs to be covered. Your rectangle of wood pile just needs to be covered on all sides by dirt. And then we're going to get out a flint and steel. So this part is the only time sensitive thing here. What we're going to do is we're going to click on this and light it on fire, but then we have to quickly get a piece of wood on top of it. That doesn't put it out. It completes the multi-block and turns it into a charcoal pit. If you do not get the wood on it within like several seconds, then it turns into being on fire, and then the fire spreads to all your wood, and instead of getting charcoal, you just burn all your wood up. So we are going to go ahead and light it, and then plap wood on it. Now I can tell the fire did not go out and that I am successful because I've got smoke and sound effects coming from this block. Now I'll know I'm really successful when the smoke and the sound effects starts to spread to other blocks. So now you can see we got them coming out of this one, and this one back here. And so this fire is going to spread out through the entire 49 wood piles. And then after, I don't know, maybe 20-30 minutes, I forget how long it is. I would guess maybe like 20 minutes or so in game, this will be done. And you know it's done when you stop seeing these smoke particle effects and hearing the crackling fire sound effects. So we're just going to leave this alone and ignore it. Obviously I'm in no hurry to collect it since we've got a ton of charcoal over here now. So yeah, beautiful. Now the ash can be used for compost and for fertilizer. And you can mix it with clay to make these gray bricks, which are actually sort of pleasant looking. And you can make peat out of it. So you can do all sorts of stuff with it. Well, not all sorts. You can do some stuff with it. The only thing I've ever really done was made this type of fertilizer with apatite in the middle. And I have made some of these bricks and did some building with that once. For now, I'm just going to throw this ash in here. But now I've got fuel for days. I've turned like 400 wood into basically almost probably a lifetime supply for my steam dynamos. I'll have like a nuclear power plant before I probably, after this charcoal one finishes out here, I'll have enough charcoal to run those steam dynamos and anything else I want to do, like these furnaces, for a long time. All right, enough with that. Let's get on with the base, the ceiling. So I have installed Astral Sorcery stuff. So over here, outlined in white, we have the newest crafting altar. This is the tier 3. And my floating crystal. Now somewhere in here, I tried to turn the floating crystal into an enhanced crystal by putting it here, and it sort of wigged out, and it turned from a floating crystal into a collector crystal. The reason I mentioned that is if you use a sack of holding, was it sack? I think it's called sack. Sack of holding to steal one of these floating crystals from an in-game generated Astral Sorcery temple. It says floating, but at some point it may turn into a collector crystal, and that matters because the floating ones automatically will interact with crafting stations around them. But once it turns into a collector crystal, you need to use the linking wand. So I thought I had broken it, but I was able to take out my Astral Sorcery linking tool, right click and get her to go. So I don't have a ton of here. This is not a very good source, so I am in the process. This is the area here for an enhanced collector crystal. So I'm going to build one, and I'm going to cut it and purify it and make it pretty, and I'm going to plop it up on top of this. This reminds me, I usually use netherrack here in case I do this when and forget to film it. So when you put a crystal like this on top of here, you actually put it with an airspace in between this and the crystal. But then you only have, this is very key and it doesn't mention it anywhere in the book, you only have a few seconds to remove this block to give yourself a multi-block structure. So that's something to keep in mind. So I usually use netherrack because it breaks real quick. So I will, let's just try it. Let's see if this will act like an enhanced one. I'm sort of curious now that I'm talking about it. So we're going to do that. We're going to get a little area up here. So that's how you aim to do this, is try and break it real quick. Now it is not acting, I don't think, as an enhanced one. Let's try linking it and see what happens. I probably should have unlinked it before I did that. Because we've still got that beam up there. Get my netherrack. So let's try right click. Yeah, so I don't think this is acting as an enhanced one, but now it's in the right spot in theory. However, I'm a little worried about this extra beam. Anyway, so I'm going to fix that. Probably what I'll do is I'll unlink this, pick it back up in the sack, build a little dirt tower, put it back up there again, and then unlink it and relink it, just to make sure everything is cool. I've also got a Starlight Infuser, so this is where you can do some recipes like, basically, sort of like a crafting table in that you can do some of the things you need to do, like Starlight Infuser uses. So you can turn aquamarines into resonating gems, turn glass panes into glass lenses, various other stuff. Oh, I forgot you could make golden carrots and glistening melons. That's actually sort of cool. You can do ore tripling with iron. I forgot about that too. That is actually pretty cool. I might use that. Some good stuff in here. I'm not sure some of these were there when I last did this. But anyway, so that's in place now. I got my light well moved up here. I'm sucking fluid. You can suck fluid out of or pump fluid into the bottom of light wells. So I'm sucking it out the bottom and going into a portable tank from thermal expansion. I had like 4 or 5 spare rock crystals, so I melted them down. You can use a lot of aquamarines. Basically, aquamarines is what you can start with if you have plenty of them. But you're going to get more on the average, much more from resonating gems. and then you're going to get even much more from the rock crystals themselves. And so since you usually end up with quite a few rock crystals if you hunt out rock crystal ore like I did in the last couple episodes, it's not too bad to I'm going to pull this down before I forget. Oh, but I didn't unlink it. Well, now I've made a real mess of things. We'll fix that later. Okay, so here, this is where I'm going to put a ritual pedestal, probably. I haven't gotten around to it now because it's not a huge deal, but I'll probably put a ritual for repelling monsters from my base here. Haven't done it yet, but this is going to be a celestial gateway. I'm not sure I even need one, but I figured I'd go ahead and put it here just in case to reserve room for it. That is the teleportation system for Astral Sorcery. So basically you put this, what is it, 7x7 pad with a thingy on it, a celestial gateway on it. And then when you come in here, it turns into a virtual starlight dome where you can see little shining stars that are your different other landing pads. I might not need that, but then again, I might put one all over the place. Remains to be seen. I like using Brown Traveler or Brown Magic from Oscal Glass, but Mechanism is gated because I have to go to the Between Lands or the Beneath or someplace to get Osmium, so I can't get into Mechanism quite yet. Over here, I've got my Attunement Altar, which reminds me, we should figure that out, and I can attune myself. I've been waiting to attune myself to do it on camera because it's sort of cool if you haven't seen it before. So we're going to go ahead and grab this. Get our Astral Tome. Now we're going to shift right click and these are the 5 primary starting constellations. I think I'm going to attune myself to Dissidia. Oops. If we look at the constellations, Dissidia seems to be unstoppable, piercing both materials and creatures alike. So it's Dissidia offense. So this, the main thing that this dictates is where you start on the perk tree. So you can start on Destruction, which I think is mining. You can start on Vicio, which is, I think, movement speed. You can start on Amara, which is defense. And Avitus, which is creation, which I believe has stuff like making plants around you grow faster and things like that. But we're going to start with Dissidia. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw that in our offhand. And now we're going to this black area here with these little particle effects. The particle effects are how you know that you've got this hooked up right. Sometimes it's hard to tell if you've got this exactly in the center. And then also sometimes the block underneath this or these 2 blocks, somehow these blocks don't sometimes get messed up if you're doing this by hand. But this black area acts as a grid for a star field. And so when the constellations come up, if we have a constellation paper in our hand, the appropriate one for one that's in the sky, and I'm going to hope that Dissidia comes up tonight, little blue lights will appear where in a shape that forms the Dissidia constellation. So Dissidia has 9 stars in its constellation. If we take a look at that again, constellation. Oh, no, constellations. So it's got 3 and 3 and like arrows with a joiner in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, 8. And so what we're going to do is, when the sun goes down, if Dissidia comes up, which there's not something else. Oh, and I see the blue starting to form. It's still dusk, so it's not very bright. There's Avortio. There's Armara. That's Avitus, I think. All right, it's not very bright, but it's bright enough. I think it's still on the horizon, but we should be able to see roughly where it is. So basically, we want to place these spectral relays. Why are you doing that? Don't do that. Okay, there we go. So 1, 2. They're sort of spread out enough that it's not always easy, especially on this, to see where they're at. But we're going to try and get this set up pretty quick here. And the last one. Oh, and I do not see Dissidia in the sky. So if this was looking right, so what we can do is, I broke my telescope. Well, I think Dissidia is like the only thing that's not in the sky. So if Dissidia were in the sky and we had these placed in the right places, it would draw the purple lines, sort of like the ones up there. It would draw the lines in between them so that we could actually see it and it would glow brighter. And then we could attune ourselves. However, I'm not seeing that, and I'm not seeing Dissidia in the sky, so we'll have to come back later in the episode when Dissidia comes up. But now we got this placed and are ready to go, so that's good. So I've also made our first celestial crystal. So you make this by putting down a bucket of liquid starlight like this. You want a single bucket of it here. And then you throw in a rock crystal and a stardust. And then after a while it consumes the liquid starlight and turns into this little crystal that grows. If you can see in my top left, it says stage 4. So there are 4 stages. So you do not want to break it until it is fully grown or you get nothing. Fully grown, stage 4, means that it has those little white particle effects coming off of it. And it's grown all the way tall enough that it's tall up to the top of the block. One thing I should probably mention is that I wasn't being able to see stages. The default settings on this didn't show stages, and you can see here where it says liquid starlight 0 of 2,000 millibuckets and liquid starlight 11,776 millibuckets out of 240,000. Those weren't on my tooltips, but if I hit num 0 and Wayla, and then what was it? Configure aspect? No. Format content. Anyway, somewhere in here, somewhere in the config files, either the hotkey starting at num 0, general, show crop growth, yes. Option, general show states, yes. So I think those were the 2 I turned on to see the stage 4 for this crystal and to see the buckets. Anyway, let's go ahead and break this and see what we get. Hey, and we got 3 things. And we made an advancement. We didn't get 3 things. Thought that would have been weird. Purity 96%. That is beautiful. So the hardest thing to raise is purity. The way you do that is you grow it by dumping it in liquid starlight over and over and over again until it gets to size, its highest size, which I think is 750 for celestial crystals. And then you keep dumping it, and there's a chance when you keep dumping it in at max size that it will split. And when it splits, you will have one that will stay at the same purity and one that will go higher. So you take something that starts out pretty high, like preferably something 85. I don't even bother trying to purify things that... Basically, I just make these because they're not that hard to make. And I wait until I get one that's purity 91% or better, and then I say, to heck with it, I'm done. So we got a purity 96% one, so that is beautiful for our collector crystals. That's what's going to go here where this beam of light is coming from. But now what we want to do with it is we want to raise it to max size and raise it to max cutting percentage. So to do that, we need a grindstone. So we're going to go ahead and put that there. And then, so we are at size 461 and cutting 73%. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put this on here, and then we're going to right click a few times. Not every time we right click, size will go down, but cutting will get better. But we're not going to go too far, because if the size gets too low, it'll break. So we want to put it on there, give it 4 or 5 twirls with a right click, and then shift right click to take it off. And now cutting is at 92%. Size has gone down a little. So we're going to give it one more shot or so. And size is 98. And cutting is now 100%. So now what we're going to do with this bad boy is we want to grow this crystal size back up. And to do that, we need to throw it in buckets of liquid starlight. And it's going to probably take 3 or 4 buckets of liquid starlight to get this guy to max size. I can't remember if it's 750 or 900. And I have a tendency to pick these up too easy, so I'm just going to come up here and drop it down. All right. Doink. And again, you can tell it's working because the little blue sparkles are coming off of it. And so every several minutes or so, it will stop sparkling and you'll have a new size. Now, I'm pretty sure this does not consume your liquid starlight. So it's probably going to take, I'm going to do this every once in a while for the next hour or so, and we'll get up to max size. And then max size and max cutting with a 96% purity is perfectly good for an enhanced collector crystal. That is going to basically fill up my crafting thing with starlight. It's such a good crystal, I might go ahead and duplicate it once or twice, which again, once you get to max size, you just keep throwing it back into the liquid starlight for a while, and it has a small chance of duplicating. It's such a good crystal now that when it duplicates, one will stay 96% and the other will probably be 100% purity. And I can use the 100% one for my collector crystal. I'll have to recut them and resize them, but the purity is what will matter when we duplicate them. Alrighty, so what else? Pardon me, I needed a drink. I've left myself some space here. We got some other things we want to put up here. We want to put an observatory up there. We want to make a containment chalice for this thing. Right now, these things is annoying to use because there are 9 buckets of starlight here, and as you use them, one of these buckets gets, or one of these spaces gets used up. And it's sort of hard to tell which one is used up. You just basically got to look for where it dips, and then you got to put another bucket in. When you make a containment chalice, it will automatically fill all of these if you put it in this area. It will also automatically suck things up out of your light well. So the containment chalice, oh, and hey, it did use up the starlight, and it is done. So it only takes a few minutes. And we've gone up to 509. We were down at 420 something, now we're up to 509. Oops, see, I suck at throwing things too. Can we arc it? There it goes. The only thing I'm good at doing when it comes to throwing is throwing my best pickaxe into a Thaumcraft cauldron and destroying it. I'm really good at that, which is why I've remapped my throw button. Alright, so we're going to keep growing that bad boy and probably go ahead and split it. Is that it? I think that's it here. So Astral Sorcery, done. So the next thing I want to show you is, so I've color-coded a little bit of white concrete around my elevator here to sort of color code this floor as the top. If we come down, we're now in my base, and it's got some gray concrete around it for color coding. And oops, I need to put away this paper. Helps if I take it out of my hand first. Whoa, and I forgot I was standing on an elevator. Alright, so gray is my base. And green, so actually let's go back up here. So up here I am at Y98. Down here I am at Y88. And then down here I'm at Y71. So the reason these are sort of spaced out is not only do I need room for different floors, but the maximum elevator reach is 20 blocks up and down, and you can't have more than 4 solid blocks in between elevators. So basically I'm going to have an elevator shaft here with some floor under it. And so I've color-coded this green at Y71. This is probably where I'm going to put my agriculture stuff. So I'm going to make myself some fields, indoor fields. Here I got to hog all this out, vein mine it, and green will be for growing stuff. Next one down is at Y55. I've color-coded it brown. I'm probably going to put some livestock down here, including a pink slime farm for cows and for industrial forgoing, and some other stuff. And then down at Y55, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with blue yet, but I'm going to have another level. Now you can see I've broken down into the nasty area. And I just sort of made this by putting, we'll look at the next one down. So I'm not sure what blue floor is going to be yet, but I'll build a floor here. With building tools, it's not too hard to actually just build yourself something. And then purple is down at Y20. This is probably going to be the power floor, so I'll probably have a nuclear furnace down here, a nuclear reactor from Nuclear Craft, and then red is bottom floor down by bedrock at Y=6 is where the elevator is at. So there you go. Y6, Y20, Y35, Y55, Y71, Y88, and Y98. So I haven't really done anything with this yet. Haven't really done anything. What's over there? Oh, it's another. I need to clear out all this lava because these annoying lava octopi. They keep making me worried that something has spawned in here that can come get me. So that's all I've done down below quite yet. I still need to make my fire mills. Let's check on the... did we have another eclipse? We must have had another eclipse. Alright, so I am not seeing any more smoke particles coming out of the stuff. I'm not hearing any crackling, so our fire pit is probably done. There you go. And we've got stupid amounts of charcoal. I'm just going to run over here and turn it into blocks. And save it over here. So there you go. We got charcoal for days. And I will probably fill in that charcoal pit now, because I probably will not need to do this charcoal maneuver anytime again. Hardly at all. So I'm just going to go back out there and make sure that I got everything up out of there. Miss this corner again. All right, so what else are we going to do? I think that's all I had planned to really talk about right at the moment. And I'll probably fill that in. I got to decide what I'm doing out here first. Oh, I did want to make, I actually got stage 1, stage 0. These things don't appear to be growing. I'm not sure why these dark oak saplings aren't growing. They've been planted there for quite a while. I sort of wanted to make, I love these double doors from Attunement. So you can see I've got the large oak double doors. I sort of wanted to make the dark oak ones. I also like the spruce ones, the double doors here. I guess I could go for the large iron double doors. Those are sort of cool. But I'm not sure. Normal iron doors, I would have to have something on this side to activate it. I'm not sure if that's true of the large double ones. What else? I'm going to pause here. I have no idea how long I've been talking, but I showed you my charcoal pit, I showed you my elevator shaft, I showed you my Astral Sorcery area. Let's see how this guy's doing. 634, so growing slowly. Need to bank shot it in off of this dirt. Missed. Weak. The last thing I played, you could hold down the throw button and get it to launch farther. So I keep trying to hold to make it go further, and it's not going further. Anyway. You can also automate that. You can, pump stuff into a holding spot and, automate this. But the bottom line is you don't really need tons of these crystals. I've seen some YouTubers do really complex automation to make these things. But unless you're going to do a ton of rituals, you really don't need any. Most of the functions that you use attuned crystals and rock crystals and what have you for, the size, purity, and cut doesn't matter. So like anytime you're using them in a crafting recipe, so for instance, we're going to be making an iridescent altar. That's going to take a celestial crystal. Well, it absolutely does not matter what the stats are for that thing. So we're just going to use any old one. We're just going to make a second one. Or, if this splits a lot of times, maybe I'll go ahead and use that. Ritual pedestal, I'm pretty sure the one that you use here, I would just use a cheap, nasty old rock crystal. It doesn't have to be attuned or anything, etc. So none of this is requires stuff. So there's very few things. Using it to help power your crafting table or help power a ritual. I think those are the two places where you want it strong. And that's about it. There are a few recipes where you want, like this is a recipe where, so notice how there is a Divorcio. Is that a Divorcio? No, that's some other one. Is Dissidia coming up? No, of course not. But on this recipe, you can see that there's this yellow thing here. When you get to the iridescent altar, and I'll show you later, probably in the next couple episodes, there's a place where you can put an attuned crystal. So you make one of those crystals and you throw it here when you've got the constellation in the sky and you've got the spectral relays all in the right spot, and you throw the crystal here and you attune it to that constellation. And then there's a spot in the tier 4 crafting altar to place, in this case, I forget which one that is. I think that's Lucerna. You would put a Lucerna attuned crystal, one of the secondary crystals, off in the side in the area for attuned crystals, and that would be required to actually do the combine. There's only a few things near the end of the game where we're going to care about putting attuned crystals in them. And again, there I don't think the strength matters. The purity, cut, or size matters if you're just going to use it as a crafting crystal. So if I make a Lucerna crystal, I probably, unless I forget what Lucerna does, if I'm going to need it for any rituals, but probably not. I usually just make a garbage Lucerna crystal for crafting. Same thing with Mineralis. I usually make a garbage one for crafting. All right, I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to see how long I've been talking, and then I will come back if we have some time, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. 694, getting there. Oh, made it in one. It helps now that I remember that I can't make it go further by holding down the throw button longer. Alright, so I'm going to pause and I'll be back shortly. I'll be back when Dissidia is in the sky, and we'll at least get a personal attunement to myself so we can start working on our Astral Sorcery perks, which is why I'm doing all of this. I love those Astral Sorcery perk trees. Be right back. All right, it is, I think the next night. I slept through one night, and it's the next night after that. And you can sort of see through the clouds there. We've got Dissidia with its two arrows off in the distance. It turns out we did have our spectral relays set up right, because when it rises and you have this all set up right. Sort of hard to see, but let's go ahead and bounce up. So you can see it forms the constellation on this black star field. And what we're going to do is we're going to attune ourselves to this, which is necessary for moving through the pack. And again, we're going to do Dissidia, which is offense. So in we go. And then you get a cutscene. You don't get a lot of cutscenes in Minecraft, so this is fairly cool. And this does take a couple minutes, so you don't want to like wait until just before dawn to get this done. So during the day, I played around with my crystal to try and get rid of that one errant line of linkage from playing around, from breaking my collector crystal or picking it up with the sack of holding while it was still linked. And there we are done. I think. So how we can check is, I think, if that was successful. I don't know that that was successful. I may have hit a key or something. Gonna give that another go. Usually you get like some sort of task or quest complete thing. And a little message that says, you are now attuned, blah, blah, blah. And it opens up the perks if I recall correctly, so we definitely want to get this done. Anyway, so I was playing around with my collector crystal, and I also I grew my celestial crystal up to its max size of 900. They actually grow pretty quick, or it travels much quicker than I remember from like a year or two ago. It only takes... Did I succeed? I don't know if I succeeded. I did not get a message that I succeeded. Why are you embarrassing me in front of my viewers? All 3 or 4 of them. Alright, try this one more time. So I grew it up to 900, and I'm throwing a few more buckets of Starlight on it to see if we can get it to split. It's such a good crystal. If it splits, one will be 90, one will stay 96%, and the other will probably be 100% purity. May as well do that. I usually don't fight too hard for that, but may as well. There we go. So there you go, an advancement made. I can see the light. That's what we were looking for. And did it give me a message? No, it didn't. But you do get the advancement. And now if we right-click on our book, perks. We've got a new thing here, perks. That's what we were looking for. So there are 5 starting primary constellations, and whichever one you attune it to decides where you start in the perk tree. So I just did Dissidia, as you can see from the little constellation with 2 arrows. And if we look there, I got 5% increase to melee damage, 5% increase to projectile damage, 5% melee and projectile, and 2% critical chance. So if you'll remember, Dissidia is the offense one. And so all of these perks going on up through here have a tendency to help you with either melee or projectile, and you can sort of take, you can sort of split things up here. So we can take this path and go with more melee damage, or you can take this path and go with more projectile damage, etc. And so a lot of this stuff just adds to your damage. Now, if we'd have started with Armara, which sort of looks sort of like a shield, and it's the defense one, you can see here we've got increased armor, more armor, more armor, and you also start getting into elemental resistances and extra maximum life, and extra armor toughness, and etc. So if you are worried about defense, you can go this route. Vicio is, I forget what it is. So Evorcio, is, I think, destruction or something, and it does mining speed, I believe. So it's a lot of mining speed and some melee damage and attack speed. A pickaxe can be used instead of an axe or shovel. That's sort of a cool one. Etc. And then a Vetus is maximum life. So that's a lot of life stuff. And then I think that must be creation. And then Vicio is, I think, movement. And it is movement speed, a lot of movement speed stuff. And I think there's extra dodge and possibly some jump stuff in here too. And in between you have circles of things that are just increases in effectiveness. And as you can see, you can get to the other ones. So you can work your way around to other ones. Now, another reason it's important to pick which one you attune yourself to start with is you can see that under Vicio it says gain experience by traveling the world. That means you basically gain experience, perk experience, as you run around, which I haven't found that to be the best way to gain experience, which is why I would never take this, even though I like extra reach, and in fact I love extra reach, and I wouldn't mind having some dodge and some other stuff. Armara, the defensive one, gain experience by taking damage. Now, in theory, you could probably cheese this by getting a monster, getting a weak monster, standing in some regeneration stuff like maybe spring water from a magic grove. There are ways to cheese this where you can just let monsters beat on you. But on the whole, that's not sort of my cup of tea. It's definitely easier if you have unbreakable armor. For Dissidia, you gain experience by dealing damage. This is what I'm going to be doing. So basically, I'll set up a mob farm where I'll probably set up zombies, and I'll make it so that I can hit them in the feet. And while it's slightly cheesy, we'll just spawn a ton of zombies and I'll just whack them. And I'll try and maybe level up a Tinker's weapon as I do that. So it's not the best thing, but I like getting all the extra stuff. You start out with 10% hit chance, critical hit chance. Basically, I was sold on this when I saw that dragons have 3,473 hit points. Screw that, I need to do a lot more damage. And I'm going to go ahead and I start with 1 point. I'm going to go ahead and go straight into 5% increased melee damage. Boom, active. And now I can go on through here. If I want to circle around, if you hit any of these, which one is it? Somewhere in here, it's the center one, Singularity. If you work yourself up around here to here, other tree roots may be unlocked without requiring a connection to the existing perks. So basically, if I were to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, spend my first 9 points here, I would unlock these 4. Now, I don't know if that means that I would gain experience faster for everything, but that is something to think about. Likewise, you can get stuff out here that is pretty cool too. So that's a different way to go. So yeah, there you go. So the other one that I sort of like is Evorcio, because I can just go do a bunch of mining, basically destroy blocks, and you gain stuff. So that probably be my second favorite. I usually don't do this because mining speed's easy to get on normal Tinker tool weapons. So I don't usually need to do that. Take a look in here. No, it did not split. So I'm going to throw a bit more on that. And we are probably out of time. I'm going to keep trying to get that crystal to split in two. I want to get rid of that ray, so I think I'm going to log out and log back in and see if that defunct ray of linking goes away. Alright, that's about it. I'm going to go, now that I have that, I'm going to probably go set up a mob farm because I have been putting that off. There are a few things. I would like to get a bunch of bone meal from bones. I'd like to... It's so hard to level up Tinker's weapons because they've made the experience so bad on it. It's like 20,000 to get past clumsy level. It's like, come on. But I still haven't decided what thing to do. I noticed Direwolf 20 is playing this, and what he's currently using is a Supremium bow. So that's sort of his OP solution, is to take a Supremium bow and socket it with a charm slot of triple shot, and then make it, power 7, infinity, etc. And it seems to be doing a heck of a lot of damage for him. But I'm a long ways away from getting a Supremium bow. So we shall see. I very much want to do a Tinker's Construct one, but the way they've configured the leveling up of it, it's just way too slow, so I'm not sure. I would have to cheese something up like I was talking about with the perks here of basically setting myself to just shoot at monsters for hours, or hit them over and over and over again. This is why I don't really like splitting stuff, is because you're never quite sure when you're going to be done. You can get lucky and split it on the first bucket, or in the first 3 or 4 buckets, or you could be throwing buckets after that for a long time. I guess that's one last thing I can do. Hopefully we have time. So I did make quite a fuss about going after rock crystal ore earlier. I've got 3 left. Pretty much doesn't matter what they are, but we'll probably leave those 3 for crafting. But we're going to take one more and turn it into liquid starlight. Again, you can dump a lot of resonating gems or a lot of aquamarines in there, but I just sort of like to do these because sometimes you get lucky. So I'm at 25 buckets, and you can tick accelerate these. Boom. So now if you can sort of see, get here with a black background. 27, 28 buckets, 29 buckets, 30 buckets, 31 buckets. So this is probably going to be all the liquid starlight I need unless I get into something serious. 33 buckets. So I've done this with about 5 rock crystals. 35 buckets. 36. 37. Still no split? Still no split. 41 buckets. Yes, this one's lasting a good long time, and there it broke. But still, I got 42 buckets now. So I went from 25 buckets to I used one up, so 43 buckets. So that was a good long one. I got a lot of buckets of starlight from that. So I see a lot of people in their playthroughs, they're like dumping aquamarine after aquamarine in there, or they are setting up automated stuff just while you're out there doing your mining at basalt level or bedrock level. Just go ahead and have your resonating wand in your offhand, and whenever night comes around and you see those little hazy things, those little hazy white particles coming off, go get yourself some more rock crystal ores, and then you'll have spares, and you can just do this, and boom, now I got 42 buckets, plus I used at least a dozen buckets here, 9 to fill it and 3 or 4 to fill it up. I used 8 buckets over there. I've used like 12 buckets here to Did it split? No. Maybe? No. So buckets for days if you just use rock crystals. Not only that, you can get them really fast if you have a time in a bottle. Alright, and now we are definitely out of time, so I will call it right there. Next time, I think, so the main things I want to work on is a mob farm, so I can start leveling up my perks, and so I can start collecting some mob drops. And I want to work on, I'm really interested in starting Electroblob's Wizardry, so I have lots of mats and lots of spellbook drops, but I need to make myself a wand and a wand table and start playing around with that. And then I want to do some co-rail tombstone stuff, get that going so that I can start perking that up. And I still haven't gotten my squid ring up and going, so I need to build my fire mills now that I've taken control of the area under my base. I need to make some fire mills and set them up so I can use my squid ring. Some of that I'm going to do in between this episode and next, but I will talk to you next time. Bye.